guys at
Now
108.
everything on this screen is being recorded.
Thank you.
Perfect. So you have to make sure this
Thank
one's
you,
recorded.
Dr. Ann.
Thank you. Have a great day.
This one's
You as
recorded.
well.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez.
Whatever
Thank
is
you
on
so
the
much.
screen is
Have a good
exactly what's
day.
being
You too.
Okay.
It's wonderful working with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And then
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's get started.
Just make sure
Do you have
at the
any
end
songs
you
that you'd like
save
to
it.
play? Ooh,
okay.
what were you gonna have one?
Well, I'll show you back. Okay. Thanks, babe.
Pasando el trapo sobre la mesa y dejando que todo brille como una perla. Cuando llegue la patrona, que no se vuelva a quejar. No sea cosa que la acuse de ilegal. Si atiende los jardines, parecen de Disneyland. Maneja una troca vieja sin la licencia. No importa si fue taxista allá en su tierra natal. Eso no cuenta para el tío Sam. El hielo anda suelto por esas calles. Nunca se sabe cuándo nos va a tocar. Lloran los niños, lloran a la salida. Lloran al ver que no llegará mamá. Uno se queda aquí, otro se queda allá. Eso pasa por salir a trabajar. Marta llegó de niña y sueña con estudiar, pero se le hace difícil sin los papeles. Se quedan con los laureles los que nacieron acá, pero ella nunca deja de luchar. El hielo anda suelto por esas calles. Nunca se sabe cuándo nos va a tocar. Lloran los niños, lloran a la salida. Lloran al ver que no llegará mamá. Uno se queda aquí, otro se queda allá. Eso pasa por salir a trabajar. Uno se queda aquí, otro se queda allá. Eso pasa por salir a trabajar.
Alrighty, so we are going to begin now. You will be invited to the break room shortly. Please accept the invitation once you receive it, and we will see you back at 1:50. Okay, so in a second now, you will all be transferred to your workshop rooms.
if you're still having trouble with that, remember to post it in the chat, and then just rename yourself if you haven't done so. Either one, number 2 or number 3 or 4. And remember, Sacred Heart is in Spanish.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Marty.
Oh, okay. I was freaking out for a minute. I was like, where did I go? Love the earrings, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I tried to join you on my laptop, but I'm using my hotspot, and it's slow. So I'm just going to stick with the phone.
Okay. Yeah, no, your image right now is great.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we have 2 minutes. We start at 1:15, right? That's our official beginning time.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Marty.
Cool.
should we start?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so perfect. Okay. Hello everybody. My name is Martin Vidal. I hope you all can see me. I'm using my phone, so I apologize in advance if there's any glitches. Hope not. But Rachel is in the other screen, which I'm so thankful for because she's the tech individual who guide me what to do in Zoom. This is my first time presenting on Zoom, so bear with me. Anyways, so let's start. Welcome all of you to HEFAS Annual Summit. My name is Martin Vidal. I am obviously a presenter. I'm from Oaxaca, Mexico, from a region that is highly indigenous. So we are from the Mixteco region, which is the northern part of Oaxaca. And so my story began that I immigrated at the age of 15 to the United States. There are many ways to become undocumented, right? But my story precisely started that I crossed the border twice. So walking, I didn't overstay my visa. I didn't get a visa, so I didn't even know that there was a possibility for that. So I know that many of you can identify with that. Crossing the borders, it took me 3 days, so 3 nights to be exact. It was one of the most horrific conditions. I was 15, crossing by myself with 41 other undocumented immigrants, and out of 41, only 2 of us made it to the United States. So that itself shows my resiliency right there. I refused to go back just because I was very persistent on. I wanted to come to the United States to help my family. Education came along the way. I never thought I could be at UCLA, at CSUN, so very privileged because of that. But anyways, so my background, a little bit more, it's I went to school in Mexico to the 6th grade. In 4 months of middle school. So unfortunately, my parents, there is 7 of us, 7 kids. So my parents didn't have the money to send me or to support me through school. So that's why excuse me, sorry. I'm sorry, that was a phone call right there. So middle school wasn't a possibility just, again, because we didn't have the resources. And then my mom was pregnant with my baby brother. So I feel I was the oldest at that time. So I really felt that the necessity of taking care of my mom during her quarantena, which is 40 days postpartum. And yeah, so I took care of her and my little brothers and sisters. So that's why I ended my education. But again, it happened for a reason. When I crossed the border, I started working in the tomato fields in San Diego. So I'm originally, my second place of where I grew up. It was San Diego, in Oceanside to be exact. I worked in the tomato fields for 2 years, and then I started going to ESL classes. It was 4 days a week, 3 hours every day. And this opened the possibility of, I just wanted to learn English, and I wanted to get a truck and do my own business, mowing lawns, and so that way I can support myself. I didn't see the tomato field as a long-term career for me, or like a job I wanted to do for the rest of my life, even though my dad, that was the only thing he was doing at the time. So I was the one, the rebel, obviously, who broke the stereotypes that a lot of us are only good for the farms. And don't get me wrong, I respect that job. I experienced it, not for me, and it was it's physically challenging and emotionally as well, as Dr. N. Lopez explained in her video, and I was almost in tears, that a lot of those realities I experienced myself. Later on, after working the tomato fields, and I struggled with my identity as an LGBTQ individual. So I always was terrified of coming out to my family, and that was part of my life experience. But I'll go more in detail. So on the first screen, that's my picture of my graduation, my master's degree. And we did that. There was a fundraiser at UCLA that we did with Spark, and that's just one quote that I felt really strong about when I started advocating for undocumented students, or let me say, when I continue to advocate for undocumented students through UndocuNurses. I'm the founder of UndocuNurses, and that one is very similar to HEFAS. It's about to empower undocumented students in the nursing specifically. Nursing field specifically. However, a lot of our resources and information overlap to other undocumented students. Next slide, please. Okay, so I already talked a little bit about how I start my ESL classes. Then I didn't went to high school. Obviously, again, like I said, education was not my priority. I came because I wanted to help my dad and my mom and my other siblings to, just economically, to prosper economically. So, but I was able to manage to do both. I was able to go to school and work 10 hours, 12 hours in the tomato fields. I remember this quote from my dad, and he used to say, "Hijo, you're very tired. Just stay at home. Why are you going to school for?" And I told him, I still remember that I would rather to go to school for a couple of years and be tired, but not be tired for the rest of my life, because I know how hard the hard working labor is. It's very intensive physically and emotionally as well. So then after I completed the ESL levels, I went to the GED program. From the GED program, after passing all the levels, all the requirements, I went to community college, which is Miracosta College. So Miracosta College in Oceanside, California has several branches. The one from ESL is like for adult learners or people who need to complete their high schools, and there is the community college side as well, where you start taking your undergrad classes. I started on basic algebra, basic reading, basic writing. Like I said, this was completely new. It was a challenge, but it was very exciting for me because I love to learn. If there is something I can learn every day, that's really, really great for me. So at Miracosta College, I want to point it out, like some of the challenges. For example, I wanted to be a dentist at the beginning. A lot of people were telling me how my smile was very beautiful, and I didn't have any dental care until I was 21, right? So for me, it's like, well, like let me take advantage of my smile, and plus I like to talk and smile to people, so I can go into dental school, right? That was like I can make money, like living the American dream. However, my counselor, which was very detached of my reality, saw the stereotype of me instead of the potential. So she told me that for dental school I would need A grade classes and a lot of money to go to school. So those are like two of the biggest challenges you can tell undocumented students. Why? Because she didn't tell me, well, this is the way to achieve A grades, like to go to counselors and to go to tutoring and your professors and whatnot. And she didn't tell me about any resources. She just stated the facts that I would need A's and a lot of money to go to school. Plus, again, and that was like, I don't have the money. I'm undocumented, right? So that was completely a game changer for me. So I decided to study art. I wanted to become an art professor for community college students. So I joined the art department, and it was amazing because since I'm a kid, I love to draw, I love to paint, and I'm very artistic. So that was definitely, at that time, the best choice I could do for myself. And then what it changed is in 2008, the economy crash, that led me to revisit my plan. I felt that I needed a master's degree to teach in community college, plus, again, paying for the master's degree. It would be like a lot of money, and I didn't have any resources besides EOPS, which stands for Extended Opportunities Program for Students. and also the Board of Governors fee waiver. I was very privileged still, even as an undocumented student, because my dad is a USA legal permanent resident, and we had Social Security back in the day, but apparently he needed Social Security to do his taxes. But now it's 18 numbers, and they're not the same because again the Social Security was a ballot, and that opened the opportunity for me to get the Board of Governors fee waiver, which pay for the tuition at community college, but I wouldn't qualify for 4-year university. Next slide, please. So yeah, in 2008, I decided to change to nursing. Miracosta College was offering an associate program, and since I was qualified for the Board of Governors fee waiver, I decided to go into nursing. I decided to switch 180 degrees from art to science, which was very challenging for me because here I am in the art department where I'm very artistic, I'm very open, it's all about me and it's all about what I see and what I feel, my emotions. But then science is how well that you learn the material and how well can you apply it to like the questions that the test is asking you. So I did fail my first anatomy quiz. I got 50% out of 100, but because I didn't know how to study. It was a complete change for me, but I adapt, right? And the thing I want to be really clear about documented students that we are very adaptable. Please do not let anybody tell you otherwise. We learn the best way to understand the material and to learn the material, but you need to know yourself. And I can go a little bit more into depth, but I just want to be off track. But I'll touch bases into that. So another thing that nursing, why nursing, right? So I love to take care of people. Like I said, I quit school to go back and take care of my mom and my baby brother. So I love babies, right? So I was like, okay, I want to go into pediatrics because I know how to take care of babies. I know how to change diapers. I know how to feed them. I know how to cuddle them. And I'm really good at it. I got really good compliments about that. So I really wanted to work with that population at the beginning. But the challenge is going through nursing school. It was that I faced several challenges. For example, I failed the TIS exam, which is like the admission, one of the admission components for the nursing department. And so basically, nursing board, several programs work by a point-based system, and so you get points for your classes, your general GPA, your science GPA, and for the TIS exam, and for other extracurriculars that you might have. So I failed the TIS exam again. I was studying an updated material. Maybe it was also the lack of I was ESL student as well, so maybe that was a part of the component. I was very nervous. It was a computer. I hate computer-based exams, but later on, I learned how to adapt to it because nursing school was mostly computerized. So yeah, that prevented me to apply to several nursing programs because these exams will get, you need as many points as you need for the application, and I lost about 3 points just by failing that exam. And that puts me again in the back of the line. And my chances were very slim. Like, there were none actually. I applied to several community college, but I basically violated their the TIS exam. It's, oh my god, I don't want to go into much detail, but I don't want to bore you to that. But anyways, so each school have their own criteria. So for every school that you apply to, make sure that you know what the requirements are. Because for example, the TIS exam, you needed to wait for some schools a couple weeks. For some others, it was 3 months. For some others, you need to take remediation classes and so on. So just be mindful of like researching the schools that you want to go for. And I just want to share the picture. That was my Daisy Award, which is for extraordinary nurses who provide care to patients, and they nominate you. And I was the 2020 awardee, if you want to call it. I was a winner, and that is my unit right there. We are a sepsis COVID specialized unit, and telemetry. Telemetry is basically we're a cardiology unit, so we're able to monitor our patient's heart and oxygen as well. I was kicked out of the CNA program, which is the nursing assistant program. That's what I show this taekwondo or karate. I don't know how to really define it, but I was kicking the butt. So because I was kicked out of Costa College CNA class because I didn't have a state issue ID. So that was in 2013, where actually 2012, where there was no driver's license for undocumented students, and I didn't have DACA. That was at the beginning of 2012. I ended up getting DACA 2013, actually, at the beginning of 2013. But again, I wanted to highlight those challenges because it's real. Like a lot of us do fall to the ground, but we able to stand up, and things happen. So, and resiliency is one of the things that you will later or learn that you have that in you because you keep going, and I would advise you to keep going. All right, so DACA started in 2013 for me. I applied in 2000 at the end of 2012, and basically I got it in 2013, like May 2013. That's I was so happy. I broke into tears. I was on the line of not getting DACA because I couldn't prove that I came here before the age of 16. There was no record of me like going to school. There was no record of me getting sick that year. There was no record of anything of me. So there was basically nothing. And the only way I was able to get DACA is because I use a different last name. I use Martin Vidal Ortega, which is Martin Vidal Gonzalez is my last name. But I use Ortega because I wanted to, be hiding from ICE and immigration. So that was one of my logics back in the day. But anyway, so that thankfully that was the only way I could prove that I was here at the age of 15, even though I put myself that I was 18 at that year, but I wasn't. I was really 15. All right, next slide, Rachel, please. Okay, so wow. So Miracosta College, I transferred from Miracosta College in 2013. I was actually qualified to transfer in 2012, but I didn't have the money. The California Dream Act started kicking in at the end of 2012, in 2013. I cannot really remember what year was it. So I stayed an extra year at Miracosta College to take extra classes that will advance my nursing knowledge. So I took medical terminology and pharmacology, which again it helped me to understand more about the nursing world, and it helped me prepare more. And in that time that I spent an extra year at Miracosta College, I applied for several scholarships. So I qualified still as an undergraduate community college. So I was able to get several scholarships still. So I moved to LA, San Fernando Valley, actually, and I'm still here. I live in La Balboa, San Fernando Valley. So I moved here in 2013. Again, I was accepted in several schools at San Diego, but I felt that San Diego, or at least Oceanside, it didn't really serve my needs as an undocumented student, just because Oceanside, it's very Republican, and a lot of these issues that we face that as an undocumented students, as an LGBTQ students, as a brown student, like they're not as openly spoken as LA is. So I love to come to CSUN because that's where I joined Dreams to be Heard. Dreams to be Heard is a student organization that advocates, empowers, and provides safe spaces for undocumented students. And again, as you all know, undocumented students fall into several categories because not all undocumented students have DACA, and not all of them have 8540. So it is very important to highlight that. Um, at the beginning, I was very ashamed of my status. When I joined Dreams to Be Heard, I learned the very wide way, and I'm sorry, I'm quoting this wide way at Costa College, because I learned how to be proper and how to like be educated, how to ask questions about, like how to really keep it down low, if you want to call it. So when my peers, my powerful women, Ana Miria Barragan, Daniela Bárcenas, were in the chair of Dreams to Be Heard, they started to be very vocal and very open and how frustrated they were that CSUN was not serving undocumented students. We were about 1,100 students at that time, and so they were saying that they were providing the same resources for undocumented students as for any other legal permanent resident and USA citizen. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Let's see, this is the. Hold on. Okay. Okay, sorry, my phone. I had to plug in my phone. So, anyways, so it was amazing for me to see these powerful women spoken about institutional and systemic racism and discriminatory policies that does not allow documented students to get the same help as LPRs and USA citizens. So I was part of the movement to push for a Dreams Resource Center, which we were the first one in the state to be approved because we got the budget approved first. However, Fullerton was the first one to open because they have like a better space than we did. We didn't have a space back in the day, so again, but we still get the title of first approved, but not the first open. I was part of the Dream Resource Center mentorship program, so I was one of the first employees. I only worked there for a couple months because I graduated in 2014. Excuse me, 2015. But again, seeing how the fruits, basically our hard work, paid off, is that we were able to get a beautiful center that will provide in safe space to our undocumented students, where we can like gather and really talk about these issues that nobody really can understand. And again, it's safe, and we were in charge, right? I felt that I was part of it. Even joining Dreams to Be Heard, I felt that I was part of something, and I wasn't ashamed of my status anymore. I was actually proud, and I was very vocal. So when I talk about me being undocumented, it's actually part of my vocabulary, but it takes time. So if you are undocumented who is still struggling or identifying yourself, it's okay. It's okay. Nobody's asking you to come out. It's a beginning process. And excuse my language. A lot of us learn how to become very powerful of our status because we got the support of other students who understand that the struggles are not. It's not only us who are facing the same struggles. It's like a lot of people, but we needed dialogue. So when so at CSUN, I didn't transfer for nursing at CSUN. I transferred because there was another major that I was able to get before nursing. It's public health promotions and education, and basically that one, all your prerequisites for nursing would all overlap with the public health. So basically, you don't need to take any more classes, and you can transfer for that bachelor's. And then later on, you can transfer for an accelerated program in nursing or a master's entry level at UCLA. And that's what I did. I actually got accepted to both UCLA and CSUN. CSUN would offer me a second bachelor's. It's called the baccalaureate in nursing. And I'm going to be the last cohort. But anyways, I decided to go into the UCLA master's program. And that's where I started to. Rachel, could you mind doing the next slide? Well, I already talked about this. I was accepted. Yep, I was like, next one, sorry. Okay, so financial struggles. I know this is like the first number one reason that we don't transfer to another schools or a higher level education, just because the question is always how am I going to pay for it? I'm undocumented. I'm DACA. There is no really federal financial aid, but that basically we will discover that there are several ways to pay for school. For example, again, I told you that from Miracosta College to CSUN, I was able to get the Dream Act, which pay California Dream Act, which pay for 75% of my tuition, and I was left with 25%. But I was working as a waiter, so that with my tips, I was able to pay and live comfortably in my own place here in the valley. So, and you might ask, well, if you have a master's, how much do you owe right now, and how much in debt are you are? And I want to say zero. I don't owe anything. At UCLA, I was very privileged to get very good financial packages. And one of the misconceptions is if you transfer to a more expensive school, then you will have like more hard time paying for it. But that's not really true, because actually the UC system is one of the best systems to go to because they have more money, and the Gulf states they have less money. Just put it in that perspective. And again, I can go more in detail, but for the sake of time, I want to keep moving with the presentation. So next slide, Rach. Okay, so these are some of summarized things that I did to how to pay for school. Community college, Board of Governors fee waiver. California Dream Act was for CSUN. That didn't transfer to UCLA, but I was able to pay through fellowships at UCLA. The first one was, $28,000. So basically pay for my first whole year of nursing, plus they give me a stipend of $3,000. And in a fellowship, there are some of them that you have to work for it, but this one was just a scholarship. I don't know then why do they still call it fellowship, but it's actually a scholarship because you don't have to pay it back, which is amazing. But yeah, and scholarships apply to every scholarships that you can get your hands into. Get involved in the community, build up your resume. I know a lot of us work full times, but try your best. Try your best because, for example, I was a medical interpreter in San Diego in a hospital because I speak Spanish, obviously, and I was trained and I volunteered over 200 hours. And that, putting that in my resume, in my letters or my statements, that opened such a great opportunity for me to get the scholarships because I was unique in the sense of it's not only about me, but it's actually about my community and how can I help them to get better. And again, providing that communication among doctors and nurses and your patients is such a great satisfaction. And I'm going to do it again over and over. Next slide, please. So I already told you about undocumented nurses. So I'm the founder of undocumented nurses at UCLA. And my basis came from CSUN, Dreams We Heard. It was about the same purpose, but it was more specific to nursing students. And this happened right in the verge when Trump was elected, where Hillary Clinton was defeated, right? And it was actually choosing the lesser of two evils. I never supported Hillary Clinton, but if you were to choose one, great. I mean, I got to choose her, of course. But both of them were really bad. But anyways, that's past. And I think it's going to happen again. Unfortunately, for some reason, the Democratic Party does not understand the needs of undocumented students and the younger individuals that we're tired of seeing moderate politicians that they're millionaires and they don't really understand the struggle of the lower status, right? So, and there is a picture over there. Hopefully you will have access to this PowerPoint that we did a fundraiser. We collect about $1,000 and we keep lab packs. So we bought laboratory backpacks with supplies and also scrubs and materials for undocumented students. And the very last one is I applied the link for my Daisy Award, and you can read a little bit more how that it is distributed. Oh, sorry, Rachel, that was next slide. Okay, so professional life. So I'm a nurse at St. Joseph Medical Center. Here is my badge, if you can see it. In basically sepsis, infections of the bloodstream, telemetry is cardiology, and COVID-19. We're specializing in helping COVID infected individuals. And that's it. Oh my God, perfect timing.
Thank you so much, Martine, for your wonderful presentation, sharing your experience. You have so much amazing advice. We have so many comments in the chat, a lot of questions. Since it's a workshop, I want to give people opportunity. If you want to, you can just unmute yourself, ask one of your questions. So the question is coming from you.
Hi, can I go ahead and ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's so amazing, and I love just hearing about your resiliency throughout your journey. I'm actually currently a counselor at De Anza, and so just hearing the negative experience you had was so disheartening. So maybe just what would be some advice you have for educators, counselors, faculty at the community college, how we can better support undocumented students?
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you so much for answering that question. I think, again, it's such a, you guys play such an important role in our careers. And unfortunately, let me clarify this. It was one counselor, and it was the general counseling at Mira Costa College. And later on, I applied to the OPS where we were designated to like a more private or at least less impacted counselors. So they were able to focus more in our needs, basically, as underserved communities. But one thing you can do is just listen. I think, again, it's a lot of the time we assume that people have every opportunity in their lives and they have the privilege of even having their parents here in the United States, and where, like, for example, when they told me, oh, well, you will need only A-grade education or A grades in all your classes, that for me instantly sound like, well, I need to stop working. But how am I going to stop working? How am I going to support myself? I'm independent since the age of 15, right? So she didn't got to know me before she assumed, and she told me like the requirements for dental school instead of telling me, tell me about you and how do you feel you want to accomplish this. At least open that question and go give me the opportunity to explain my challenges, and then hopefully she will guide me to the better resources. So I would say the first step is listen, and then obviously if you can be having constantly Googling or constantly becoming involved like in these summits or conferences where you get so much information that applies specifically for undocumented students.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Do we have any other questions?
I think there's some questions in the chat that were asked earlier.
Martine, I can read some of the questions from the chat. So Cynthia is asking, did you use Immigrants Rising and their scholarships and mentorship pre-health group?
I'm sorry, Rachel, could you repeat the question?
Oh, sure. So did you use Immigrants Rising and their scholarships and mentorship pre-health group?
No, I actually use Pre-Health Dreamers, which is an organization based in the Bay Area, but also here in LA. So Pre-Health Dreamers give me a scholarship for the PEEP program, which is applying for grad school. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the one that was mentioned here, but I mean, sorry, I'm not up to date with those ones, but that's the ones that I took advantage of.
It looks like we had another question from Abby, Miguel. We have about 5 more minutes for questions. Did you all want to ask your question yourself, or?
I can ask my question. Wait, let me find it.
So pretty much my question was how, aside from everything that you've gone through, all the, like everything being against you and everything, how were you still motivated and resilient and persistent to keep on getting to your goal?
Wow, like I said, it just depends on the individual, though. I mean, I have to be. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'm a very positive person, and even though some people might say that I'm the smiling depressed, that I'm depressed, but I'm continue to smile. I continue to go up front. I continue to knock at the doors, even a lot of doors close in my face. I continue to ask, what else can I do? What else can I get? For scholarships, again, one of the biggest mistakes we do is like we don't apply for it because we feel that there is 1,000 students waiting for it, but in reality there is only a couple people waiting for it, and you could be like the best fit for that scholarship, and a lot of us say like, no, I'm not gonna get it. So that mindset, I just wanted to be mindful that we have to get in that level of you have to change your mindset. You have to think positively and say that you can do it. Again, of course, get better yourself at good grades. And I know it's hard. A lot of us fail classes, but do not give up. Continue to pursue your careers. And if you need to change, for example, myself, I changed 3 times from dentist to art to nursing. Right, and nursing was the last one I ended up with. So if you need to change your major, it's not it's not an uncommon thing. It's very common to change. However, change, but continue to be resilient. Continue to advocate for yourself, to tell your story, not to feel pity about yourself, but instead of empowering yourself that this is something that you cannot control. The system is already broken, and there is nothing we can do about it. However, we can advocate for policies, and hopefully we can change something. And then in the long term, you understand again that it's not your fault. Once you understand that it's not your fault, that's the biggest thing that you will do, because after that, everything you understand that it's not your fault, so you continue to be resilient and continue to help the your community, continue to apply for scholarships, continue to become involved in every possible leadership opportunity that you might get. That will help you throughout your school.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi team, we also have a question from Miguel. He asked, do you have any studying tips or advice to students, especially to undocumented students who are pursuing higher education while undergoing challenges?
Yes, oh my God, thank you so much. Like I mentioned in the PowerPoint, I didn't want to go too much in details, but know yourself, and this is, you have to learn how do you learn, what's your learning style, right? So for example, myself, if you put me to read a book, I might remember the title of the book and just a little bit of the content. Other than that, I cannot study books because it's not my thing. I need to see pictures. I need to move. I need to draw. I need to be. I'm very kinetic and I'm very visual. So if you show me a picture, or if I draw myself a cartoon, or I make these mnemonics. For example, in nursing, when you learn terminology, there is. You always look at the beginning of the letter and try to make a phrase in the first letters and then just fill it out. And that's a great way to remember, because you're making your mind to remember. In a test, what you do is, again, you just write like a big word and then just fill it out, and that's how you get your answer. And again, that's one of the tips of how to study by yourself. The other one is watch videos, YouTube. Your school might have some good ones. Then also your peers, please do not isolate yourself. A lot of people are going through the same struggle, and for example, myself, even as an undocumented student, a lot of my peers were not undocumented, but they were going through the same struggle on how to study. For example, I was very good at explaining some things. They were good at explaining some other things, and we used to teach each other, because that's the best way to like learn. Once your peers can explain to you how it works, then it's easier for you to get it embedded in your mind or in your memory.
Martine, thank you so much. It looks like we're getting the pop-up to be heading back to the main room, but we really appreciate your sharing your experience and all your advice. I know just personally you've been such an amazing mentor to so many students I've worked with, so snaps to Martine, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel, for being such a moderator, and thank you for all of you for attending this workshop. I can talk a lot. I can go. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. But if you have any other specific questions, my email, I believe, is in the PowerPoint. Otherwise, I can make it available. I can talk over the phone. A lot of myself, I can explain more over the phone. But obviously, some of you might not be comfortable with that. Otherwise, I'm really good at email, or I try to be. Yeah, and I'm on Facebook as well. So whatever is comfortable for you, I'm here to help.
Thank you, Martine.
Thanks, Rach. Okay, so we are all by ourselves, Rach?
No, I think people are still here. You just have to click on the button that says return to main session.
Oh, okay. I did it. I got a pop-up at the beginning of the workshop. Will I get another pop-up or like?
Yeah, I think it'll automatically bring you back there in like 20 seconds or so.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Rach.
Yeah.
Thank you for being my techie person.
Honestly, I am learning tech, so it was good for me to learn.
Awesome. All right, so let's go back.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, everyone's pretty much back. So welcome back, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the workshop you attended and you gained something new. We're glad you were able to join us today. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. And can we go ahead and please give our workshop presenters some love by sharing some reactions